All right, here we go. That's really nice of you. We are solving inequalities. So the good news about today is this is what we did in chapter 1 with equations, but now you're going to do it with an inequality symbol instead. So it's going to look very familiar and you're going to solve them nearly identically. The only difference is how you write your answer. Okay? So here we go. 3-2. Your first example, you're going to solve this inequality. So if I tell you x minus 15 is greater than negative 12, okay? Pretend you see an equal sign instead of an inequality. Keep your hands to yourself. What would you do to solve this if there were an equal sign there? You would do plus 15, right? We want to isolate the variable. That's all we're doing again this time. We're isolating the variable. So we're going to add 15 to both sides. This is gone now. So I have x. My symbol doesn't change. So it was greater than. It stays greater than. What's negative 12 plus 15?
11. Positive something.
Positive something. Positive what?
3.
3. Okay, so that's your answer. That's what you're doing. The only difference is now you're going to graph it. So how do you graph x is greater than 3? You're going to put what number here? 3. Is it going to be an open or closed dot?
Open and open.
It's going to be open because there's no equal underneath this, right?
If there's a line,
That wasn't very
fill in
open.
the lines.
Okay, so x is greater than 3. Is my arrow going left or right? To the right.
To the right, to the right, to the
Okay.
right, to the right.
Excuse me. Now here's how you could check your answer, okay? If your graph is saying everything to the right of 3 is your answer, pick a number to the right of 3, like 4, for instance, right? If I plug 4 into my original, so 4 minus 15 is greater than negative 12, check if that's true. If it's true, you know you did it right. If it's false, you're backwards, okay? So 4 minus 15 is negative 11, and negative 11 is greater than negative 12, so then we know it checks out. Okay, so this is just our check. It's just checking if we got the right answer. Questions on that? So it's equations. If you've gotten equations up to this point, this is going to be very simple. If you haven't, here's your chance to fix the mistakes you were making with the equation side of things on the inequality side of things. Okay? All right, second example. This is a quick lesson, I promise. Let's say we have 10 is greater than or equal to x minus 3, okay? Now again, think of it like an equation. What would you do to solve this? How do you isolate x?
Plus 3.
You would add 3. Remember in the equations, a lot of times I would just put the line here.
Yeah.
You put plus 3 on one side, plus 3 on the other. So you get 13. Keep your symbol, and x.
What if I
Okay.
want to keep something? What if I want to sell it for some money? Like
You don't get to. But now here's the deal. I would, if I were you, every time put your variable first. It just makes life simpler that you don't get confused on things. You don't have to, okay? I'm not going to mark you wrong if you tell me this is the answer. That's not wrong. It's just that when they tell you to graph it, then it might be done wrong because you're confused with where things are, okay? So if I were you, I would turn this around. I'd put the x here, the 13 here, and then you have to flip your symbol around if you flip your numbers around. So it's x is less than or equal to 13, okay? You graph that. You put a 13 here. Is it open or closed? Closed dot. And what direction am I shading?
To the left.
To the left, right? This arrow points to the left. The only reason we can use the arrow idea is because our variable's first. So here, we couldn't have done that, right? The arrow would have pointed right, and that's wrong, which sounds weird, that right is wrong. So make sure you put the variable first, okay?
Can you roll up just a little bit? Yes, not that much. Well, you can
Well, we'll just make it small for now. Any questions on that? Okay, example 3. Almost there. What are the solutions to this? T plus 6 is greater than negative 4. What do? How do you solve that? You're going to take away the 6. So take away 6 here, take away 6 here. So this is gone. You get T. Your symbol stays the same, so is greater than, and that's negative 4 minus 6, so negative 10. So T is greater than negative 10 is your answer, and then they want you to graph it. How do you graph T is greater than negative 10? What number is going on my number line? Negative 10. Is it open or closed? It's open. Okay. And then which direction are we shading, Ryan?
Right. We're going right.
To the right. Right. Because T has to be greater than negative 10. So you want all the numbers that are greater than negative 10, which would be all of the numbers to the right of it.
To the right of it.
Okay?
What's the right? Yes.
The right is right for this one. Sometimes the left is right. Okay, last thing. This one's more of a word problem. But you're coming up with the same. Why do you hate word problems? They're so applicable. These are the real world problems. These are the ones that you'll actually use like in your life. Okay, here's what it says. The hard drive on your computer has a capacity
700 milligrams.
Gigabytes. How about gigabytes? A capacity of 120 gigabytes. Okay, that's what your computer can hold. Ladies, you with me? Or do we need to move over there?
I think they need
my pencil.
So 120 gigabytes. It says you have used 85 gigs.
Gigabytes.
Okay, so this is capacity. That's what it can hold. 85 is what you've used. Okay, I want to know what are the possible sizes of videos and things that you can store on your computer still. Okay, so what are the possible sizes?
Just minus 85 by 120.
No, I want a inequality.
You want to complicate it.
No, it's not complicating it. It's the math. You're just doing it in your head. So this is total capacity, right? That's like if we were going to write an equation, something plus 85 gigabytes is the total equals 120. But it's not equals because you can't go over 120, but you could go under 120, right? Rarely are you using all the space on your computer.
I do.
So you would do x plus 85 somehow relates to the total of 120. Now, if 120 is your max capacity, what symbol has to go there? Less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to.
Less than or equal to.
Less than or equal to, because you could use it all, but you don't have to use it all.
But you can go a less
Okay.
than, because you can't go above it, man. That's illegal.
Right. Wouldn't work. So how do I solve that?
You do
You take away the 85.
first.
Okay, so the space available, x has to be less than or equal to 35. So you need to use, or can use, 35 gigabytes or less. That make sense?
Yeah.
X is less than or equal to 35. All right.